Hello and welcome. You know, we all make dozens of food choices every single day, and most of the time, we probably don't give them a second thought. But what if those small, seemingly harmless choices are part of a bigger pattern, one that could be quietly impacting our long-term health? Today, we're going to dive into some really fascinating research that shines a light on exactly that.
So let's just start with a really direct question for you. Is that convenient snack you grab between meetings, or maybe that late-night treat you have while you're watching TV, is it actually doing more harm than good? It's a question that's absolutely worth asking because the answer, well, it might just surprise you.
Alright, so here's our game plan. We're going to start by exploring the hidden dangers in our modern snacking culture. Then, we'll dig into two huge problems, the habit of constant eating and just how many processed foods we have around us. After that, we'll see how these two things combine to create a much bigger risk. And don't worry, we'll finish up with simple, powerful steps you can take to protect your health.
Okay, let's kick things off with a habit that feels completely normal to most of us, right? Just grabbing a quick bite whenever we feel a little hungry. And while it seems totally innocent, it's often the beginning of a larger and honestly more concerning pattern. I mean, just think about a typical day. Maybe it's a packaged granola bar for breakfast, on the go, a bag of chips in the afternoon, maybe a frozen meal for dinner because you're tired. These foods are literally designed to be convenient and tasty. But this convenience, it can come at a hidden cost, especially when it becomes the default way we eat all day long. So, this brings us to our first really big idea. It turns out it's not just about what we eat, but also when and how often. This habit of constant eating, grazing throughout the day, it never really gives our body a chance to just take a break and recover.
So, what do we actually mean by constant eating? Well, it's pretty much what it sounds like, eating so frequently that your digestive system is always on. It never gets the downtime it really needs to clean house, repair itself, and get ready for the next meal. You can think of it like running a car engine 24/7 without ever turning it off for an oil change or maintenance. Eventually, things are going to start to break down.
Now, this constant work creates three really specific problems for your body. First, it messes with your blood sugar. See, every time you eat, your body releases insulin. So constant eating means constant insulin spikes, which can lead to chronic inflammation. Second, your digestive system just gets burned out. It can't produce enzymes as effectively, and this can really harm the good bacteria in your gut. And third, this whole process creates an excess of these damaging molecules called free radicals, leading to something called oxidative stress, which is basically damage to your cells at a microscopic level.
Okay, so that's the problem with timing. Now let's shift gears and look at the content of what we're so often eating during these constant snacks and meals: processed foods. And believe me, the issue here goes way beyond them just being empty calories. When we talk about processed foods, we're really talking about products that have been engineered in a lab for a long shelf life and intense flavor. And this usually means they're loaded with things our bodies just aren't designed to handle in large amounts. Things like chemical preservatives, artificial colors, unhealthy trans fats, and just huge quantities of refined sugar.
So let's break down these specific dangers. For starters, all those chemical additives put a huge strain on your liver and your gut, which have to work overtime to filter them out. This causes more inflammation. Then you've got the high levels of sugar and unhealthy fats, which are super inflammatory on their own. And finally, this kind of diet actually harms the good, beneficial bacteria living in your gut, the very bacteria that are crucial for your immune system. This weakens your body's defenses.
So far, we've looked at two separate issues, right? The timing of when we eat and the type of food we eat. But now we get to the most crucial part of this whole explainer: what happens when you put them both together? Because this is where things get really serious. Let's just pause for a second and look at this side by side. On the one hand, you have constant eating, which causes those blood sugar spikes, digestive burnout, and oxidative stress. And on the other hand, you have processed foods, which deliver unhealthy fats, sugar, chemical additives, and they damage your gut bacteria. Now, each one of these columns is a problem on its own. But here's the thing, they don't just add up.
They multiply. This is the absolute key takeaway. The effect is synergistic. The constant insulin spikes you get from grazing make your body even more sensitive to the inflammatory punch from the sugar and fats in the processed food. And the digestive burnout from always eating makes your gut even more vulnerable to all those harmful additives. It's a truly vicious cycle.
So what this all boils down to is this.
The combination of constant eating and processed foods puts your body in a state of chronic, low-grade inflammation and really high oxidative stress. It's like your body is in a constant state of emergency. Over time, this constant battle can actually damage the DNA in your cells, and that accumulated damage can lead to mutations that allow cancer cells to form and, just as importantly, it creates the ideal inflammatory environment for them to grow and thrive.
And listen, this isn't just a theory. We have large-scale studies from both the United States and Europe that have found a very clear link. People who eat a lot of processed foods, especially in that constant grazing pattern, have a significantly higher risk of developing certain cancers, like colorectal and breast cancer. And animal studies back this up, showing that mice fed processed foods frequently develop tumors faster and more aggressively.
Okay, I know that was a lot of heavy information, but the good news, the really great news, is that this is not out of your control. Not at all. Let's shift gears and move to our final section and talk about how we can build a simple toolkit to reduce this risk and protect our health.
So, probably the single most powerful tool to combat the problem of constant eating is something called intermittent fasting. Now, I know that might sound a little intimidating, but it's actually incredibly simple. It's not a diet in the way we usually think of them, it's simply an eating pattern. The whole focus is on giving your body a dedicated period of rest from digestion every single day.
Here is a straightforward 4-step plan. First, time your meals. The easiest way to get started is just to make sure there's at least a 12-hour window between your last meal of the day and your first meal of the next. That gives your body that crucial rest period. Second, choose whole foods. This just means focusing on foods that are as close to their natural state as possible and reducing your intake of things that have a long list of ingredients you can't even pronounce. Third, you can actively fight that oxidative stress by eating more antioxidants. You'll find them in colorful vegetables, fruits, nuts, and even green tea. And finally, don't forget the fundamentals. Quality sleep and regular movement are incredibly powerful tools for reducing inflammation and helping your body repair itself.
So if you remember just one thing from all of this, let it be this. The core principle is incredibly simple. You just need to do 2 things. Give your body a real break from constantly digesting food, and when you do eat, choose better fuel. That's it. Rest and refuel the right way. And you know what? This does not have to be some radical overnight transformation. You don't have to be perfect. Just finishing dinner a little earlier, swapping a bag of chips for an apple, or going for a walk after a meal. These are the small, consistent habits that, over time, can lead to a profound reduction in your long-term health risks. So I'll just leave you with this final thought. You have the information and you have a simple toolkit. The power is truly in your hands. So what is one simple, achievable choice that you can make differently starting today to give your body the rest and the fuel it deserves? Thanks so much for joining me.